Shouldn't be muted. TikTok. Am I muted? Ah, oh, Moonbear, how could you do this to me? You caused this. I'm gonna start over. Did you hear nothing I said? Was I just talking to a wall? Oh, this control panel, I even said I think I had my control panel sorted out. But clearly, I do not. Clearly, this is not working. Alright. Boom. Let's restart that game and... Sorry about that, guys. What a false start. Alright. Thank you to Moonbear for pointing that out. Oh, dear. Oh, Alright. How is everyone tonight anyway? I hope everyone is great. Well, actually, it's not going to be tonight everywhere in the world. But there you go. Best mod ever. What mod? What are you talking about? Okay. Let's try that properly this time. And there we go. And we even have audio. I can see the little bar moving. So after a first false start, welcome back to Legend of the Stars qualifying tournament number 4. We are going to head back down into the bottom bracket. We're going to check out Kaiser taking on Procrastinating. That is going to be on Eridani. It will be quite interesting indeed. So without any further ado, I'm going to head us straight back into the match that we were just looking at a second ago before I realized everything was messed up, and we're going to do it again. There. We will get this thing sorted at some point in our life one day, and I have it on some authority. I'm not sure how good the authority is that this match isn't fantastic. But yes, we will cast it anyway because we don't have many left and it's got to be worth my while to sit down and present. So let's have a look at Procrastinating, also known as Achieve Jacob. He has opted for Seraphim this time around. He has got a single land factory up. We can see 2 power generators and the 3 core mixers queued up for him. That's not a lot of power. And we can look down in the bottom corner here, the pink corner. We have Kaiser. He's going to throw down his first Cybran land factory, getting double adjacency with that, and we can see a further 3 power generators for him before he moves on to that second land factory. So it's going to be perhaps a 3rd factory before these guys get onto any air game at this rate. Alright, the first engineer is out from Achieve Jaguar, but it is going to be solely focused on Reclaim. So he's going to head straight out the top with an attack move. He's going to use that fantastic range that the engineer now has to pull in all of those trees. And there's a couple of clumps in there, so they'll be a little bit more efficient. And he'll hopefully supplement that energy income enough to get everything off the ground. How is Kaiser going for power? He has got 2 engineers on Reclaim, so clearly the meta on this is to scoop up as much of that Reclaim as possible to avoid having to build the Tech 1 power generators, the 3rd one just having completed there for Kaiser. So we're probably going to see a little bit of meta display coming out of there, and we're going to see a few Zoes and Thams rolling out. We've actually got that first Tham already out of the factory floor. He's going to head across to the right. Perhaps he is thinking about doing a little bit of raiding because there's no engineers in that direction that he could possibly be defending, so he's going to just head across to the right here. And looks like he's going to park himself up by this mass extractor so that he can try and take out one of those expanding engineers. We've got a rather non-aggressive play from Kaiser. As we've seen throughout the tournament, he only just now has got a Mantis off the factory floor. He's going to send it across to the left to try and stop any raiding units coming in that side of the map. He's not going to be prepared for this one up here at this rate, unfortunately, but he doesn't have any engineers to be killed either, and in fact he's not going to go air very soon at all. He's going to get at least 4 land factories up and running before he switches over to air. So we're going to see a very, very delayed start on the air game for him. And Achieved Jaguar, on the other hand, with just a single land factory, has got his air factory up and running. We could see a little bit of punishment coming Kaiser's direction for not having that air factory up. It means that the bomber that is inevitably going to be rolling out of that factory for Achieved is not going to face much opposition at all. That's going to force Kaiser to either build static or mobile T1AA or hurry up and get an air factory. And it is finally queued, but he only has a total of 8 Tech 1 power generators. That's not a whole lot to be able to run all of those land factories as well as an air factory. Units are just about in position up the top here, waiting for the expanding engineer to roll on, and that is going to take some time, so we're just going to speed up the game ever so slightly just to increase the action rate that we're going to see. We have got the ACU moving out though from the starting position. Kaiser going to move his ACU all the way into the center, and what is the plan there? It is just going to be an expansion who's going to get in there with the tanky, beefy HP on that ACU and use it to secure the area. Do we have a bomber planned yet for Achieved? It is not the case. In fact, he's using the air advantage that he has in the early game to get a transport up, so that is going to be able to shift engineers very, very quickly across the map and even up onto these little plateaus at the top, which are otherwise very hard to reach. Grab the couple of mixes and a little bit of reclaim up there as well. The first hints of raiding is starting to happen. We have got a little bit of contact over here. We have a Mantis coming against the Tham. It is not going to fare particularly well. The Tham, though, escaping with just 56 HP, won't be able to withstand a couple more Mantis coming its way. So Kaiser successfully clears that out. Was there an engineer wreck in there beforehand? I'm not sure that there was, so I don't think that actually impacted the expansion there for Kaiser at all. We also have a little bit of action over the left-hand side. We've got 2 Mantis onto 2 Thams. It is going to go just a little bit in favor of the Mantis this time around. That Tham going to go down, leaving just a few HP. But here comes that bomber we expected out of Achieved's air factory. It is going to start laying down some hurt, and it finishes off that Mantis. And so far, not a lot to counter. Well, actually, that is a complete lie, because Kaiser has really focused on the air production, and now he's actually outnumbering the interceptors by 2 or 3 to 1 by the looks of it. He's going to do fantastically well in this early air engagement and secure that facility for himself. That actually means he would be able to get in here and take down this transport if he so wished, or if he knew about it. So chances are he hasn't actually spotted that one yet. As soon as he sees it going overhead, we'll probably see the interceptors making a beeline for it, especially now that they've finished dealing with that bomber. We've got the ACU about to come into contact with half a dozen Thams. That's not going to be much of a competition. We're going to probably see Achieved turn those guys around and back on up out of there, because they are absolutely no match for an ACU. So that's exactly what happens. He turns tail and runs. Let's just have a quick look at numbers right now. We're going to compare the Mantis, of which there are 36 for Kaiser, and let's have a look at how many Thams there are currently on the field for Achieved. There is a total of 23, so Kaiser with that early air factory, well, the late air factory, the early stack of land factories, has given himself a little bit of a land advantage with a wee bit more production, and that's going to serve him fairly well in these early bits of combat. Achieved has got into this expansion. He's put down those 3 massive strikers and secured it with a land factory as well, just making it that a little bit harder to dislodge. Meanwhile, Kaiser getting all the way up into the top right corner apart from that plateau and securing that with Mantis, just setting those guys on guard duty to stop any annoying engineers from Achieved managing to get in there and unreservedly being able to build mixes that Kaiser does not want him to have. We've got another little bit of an engagement brewing on this side of the map, but it looks like Kaiser has got his Mantis fairly well spaced out. We can see there's a terrible string of Mantis. They're going to come into contact with that tightly packed group of Thams just a couple at a time, and that's not going to go as well as Kaiser might hope for those pink Mantis. It's probably something to do with the color that he's chosen, making them just that little bit weaker. Perhaps a pink Mantis gets 77% of the HP of a blue Mantis. We've got a little bit of a attack going on in the center here. The ACU continuing to bear down on those Thams. He is going to scare them away very effectively, but we do have the ACU for Achieved rolling on into the center. He's going to try and capture a little bit more territory and throw the weight of that ACU around, but he's going to have to be a little bit careful because we do have a reasonable number of Mantis that could squash him in the center there, plus the ACU. If those guys were all able to catch Achieved's ACU out of place, they would do very well, and Achieved would have a tough time getting out from those Mantis under his feet. Meanwhile, Achieved has managed to get drops onto the plateaus up here, which is a very nice pickup. That's going to be an extra 5 mass extractors, which are going to be pretty well unchallenged until there are any bombers or transports out for Kaiser, but he's not going to be able to afford that at the moment. He's too busy losing Mantis to bombers, those Tech 1 bombers rolling on in, and Achieved doing a pretty good job of surprising Kaiser with his air superiority and taking the skies back, and that's going to leave Kaiser's units at a little bit of a disadvantage. They're getting peppered from the skies. There's a bunch of Thams on the ground still, and that is going to push him back, so that is no longer an avenue of attack, although it would be interesting to see Kaiser just pushing around the back. I'm not sure if he's aware, but it is reasonably open. It wouldn't take too many Mantis to be able to get through the back here and divert a bunch of Thams from heading to the front line, but that of course is predicated on being able to not die to all these bombers. And look at all these bombers. There's a triple bomber run coming in. If those guys do a spread attack on this army in the middle here, they're going to do a fantastic amount of damage and really reduce Kaiser's ability to wage war in the center. And Achieved is actually really looking to have picked up the pace of the land unit production here. Let's just have a quick look at the ecos. They're relatively even, 35 to 33, so there's slightly less map control that Achieved has managed has been made up for with those plateaus, although Kaiser really not capitalizing on that. He's had Mantis on guard duty for a whole lot of mexes up this side of the map, but he hasn't been able to get those in here. Alright, we've got the bombers still scooting around, making nuisances of themselves. There is a radar. That would be a nice target to grab. Are we going to see a hit on that? That is exactly what we see. So down goes a Mex and a radar. A very nice pickup. And those bombers are going to continue trying to rain on the parade of Kaiser, but there are 3 interceptors rolling in. They are going to catch it off guard, even though there is a big numerical superiority in the air. A unit placement is always best. Well, best unit placement is always best. Alright, we've got a very interesting situation over here where we've got a single radar and mix. Then this engineer is off to reclaim, but he is surrounded by blue. That is not going to go too well for Kaiser. He will lose that momentarily. He's also looking at losing some of these outlying mixes in the center as well. That is going to hurt his eco even more, down to 29 mass per tick to the 47 that Achieved now has. So Achieved really holding on to that eco advantage and using that to outspam his opponent. He's got control of the skies, those bombers continuing to rain down death. And what is this? A banger. So Kaiser has switched up to the Tech 2 air. We can see that is the reason for the lack of units that he's had on the field as of late, and that's because he's been putting together these rhinos. We do have a Tech 2 HQ. It is, well, it should be all the way back here, but he actually has a whole lot of support factories as well, so he actually has the ability to pump out a rather large squad of rhinos all at once, and that rhino firepower, that's really going to push these Thams back from Achieved. He's going to be a little bit more careful now. The tides might turn unless he can get some Ilshivers on the field, and that's exactly what he's doing. We can see there is at least one Ilshiver coming from the back there, maybe just a little bit late to the party, but still he has got his ticket and he's going to bring those Ilshivers with him. The rhinos need to get in here and make a difference. Unfortunately, leading with all the Mantis, that is going to not go down too well. He's going to have to back those guys up so they don't get rained on by Medusa Fire. He is just going to back him up. But no, he's still jockeying for position, so really thinking about it, the Rhinos are going to try and get in close to this Ilshiva. If they can get in nice and close, they'll take him out nice and quickly, just like that. If they can continue doing this, they will absolutely wipe the floor with this Tech 1 army that Achieved has got, and it won't be until Achieved has got a bigger clump of Ilshivas that he can really fight back. But we're not seeing any push across the top. There are still these units doing nothing but guard duty. They could be making a little bit of impact around, at least distract a few Ilshivas from getting out to where Achieved really needs them. We've got a little bit of a raid coming down from the left-hand side. These guys, after the run through the plateau, just trying to take out a few more mexes, and it looks like they'll successfully take out at least one. They've run through that. There is another clump of 3 as well, and it doesn't look like it's particularly well guarded by the Rhinos, but there are 3 bombers that happen to be sitting around. They can take the task upon themselves to start trying to take out these Thams. Down goes 1 mass extractor though. In come the Rhinos. We're probably going to see focus on the Rhinos, and the 2 remaining mass extractors are not going to go down, and Kaiser really needs those because he's sitting on 35 mass per tick to the 45 that Achieved has. He's not managing to keep his eco intact very well. Look at all these empty mixes all around his side of the map. These really should be under control. They should be generating for him. If he was able to grab 5 of these, that would balance the eco game, and he would actually be able to get ahead by grabbing the other ones under his control anyway. So he really should be trying to grab those and make the most of his eco. We're now starting to see a pretty good clump of Ilshivas. There was 5 together. First one goes down, but they are trading blows with those Rhinos. The Rhinos need to be a bit careful of backing up, because if they stray out of range but still within range of those Ilshivas, they will take an absolute beating without being able to return any fire. But it looks like Kaiser is doing a good job of getting them within range. He just has to worry about the flow of Ilshivas coming from the back. That is a little bit more than he can handle. Right now, the initial group of 5 Ilshivas, not too much of a problem, but now that there's actually 10 Ilshivas, well, that is a big problem, and these Rhinos are going to have to back on up. That is just a little bit of a loss, and that's actually going to be a bit of a mass dump just outside Achieved Jaguar's base. That's not going to be too happy for him, and Kaiser's now facing the problem of logistics, because he has to manage to get all of his Rhinos across to where he needs them, right across the side of the map, and he's actually skirting right around this mass extractor because there is a PD, and Rhinos, fantastically low to the ground, are not able to get over the walls of that PD, so that renders them pretty ineffective for this scenario. He is going to have to rely on the Tech 1 bombers to finish that off. Even just bringing 1 or 2 Medusas with him would make all the difference. And we can see that the big cloud of interceptors is now reacting from Achieved Jaguar. They're going to come in and absolutely mop up those pink interceptors from Kaiser, and the bombers will be next. They have managed to take out the point defense and both of those mixes, but that's still a very costly run for Kaiser. It cost him at least 5 bombers, and that was just the air units to take out those couple of mixes. Not really a great trade. A couple of Medusas just around there would have done the same job for a lot less investment. Kaiser managing to even the tables a little bit in terms of eco, sitting on, well, it was 39 apiece, but we can see that Achieved Jaguar procrastinating just a little bit behind now, actually. That is interesting. Is that a power stall, or is that the real figure? Let's have a quick look at their ecos. We have got no power stall there at all for Achieved. He's got 700 mass in the bank, so plenty to spend there. And then looking at Kaiser, he is in a pretty good situation, maybe just a little bit more power required. But what is this? That Commander under attack notification let us know that there are a couple of Wagners, and they are sitting there just trying to eat away at the HP, but so ineffective. We can see they've been sitting there for a while. That entire upgrade has just about completed. There we go, it has completed now, and it's only cost them about 1,000 HP from all of those Wagners. There's actually some T1 torpedo launchers on deck as well now, 2 of them up, and a third one coming, so the ACU is going to have to get out of the water. It will cost him a little bit more HP. Well, actually, he's not even going to have to get out of the water. He's just going to reclaim. So that is the end of that. It still costs him that HP, but in the end, not so bad. It does actually leave him open a little bit to a snipe, though. That is actually surprisingly quick and getting surprisingly low very fast. There's still one more torpedo launcher as well. Down into the yellow, only 3,500 HP. This is looking really dicey, but as soon as that Tech 1 torpedo launcher is offline, we'll go back to the very, very tiny amount of torpedo damage from the Wagners, and it looks like Achieved is going to respond to that by throwing down another upgrade, and this time getting nano repair. It will require him completing that nano repair before these Wagners can slowly whittle away the HP. This is just absolutely ridiculous, the amount of time that it is taking for those guys to do any damage at all. There might as well be no point in having that torpedo launcher on the Wagners. Achieved has been pretty much free to do what he wants with this left-hand corner. He is going to hop across from there and start to try and eat into the rest of Kaiser's income. They're still sitting even though on 39 apiece. Let's just have a quick look at the reclaim though. We're looking at 22,000 for Achieved Jaguar and only 13 for Kaiser. So a massive difference in what these guys have scooped up off the ground. And look at these gunships. These Volthus Seraphim Tech 2 gunships absolutely making mincemeat out of that Tech 1 and a bit of Tech 2 army because there is no AA. Well, actually there is AA. There is a banger right there, but it is just not quite enough to deal with those Volthus in a very efficient manner. It's taken quite some time to get rid of them, and that will cost a lot of HP. But what is this? A Tech 3 shift for Achieved Jaguar. He has switched up to Othams, and now he has got those on the field. That is going to be a lot of heavy firepower that is going to be impossible for Kaiser to defend against. And look what the nano repair is doing for that ACU, up to 10,000 HP already. What is going on with that? That is way too OP. He has been under fire from Wagner's the entire time, and now he is looking pretty healthy once again. And Kaiser throws out the GG. He knows this is going to be a bit impossible to beat. He does have a couple of torpedo bombers ready to go, actually 4 now. But I think there is so much HP and so much regen on that ACU that he just isn't going to have the opportunity to make use of them. The air superiority from Achieved Jaguar will take out those Tech 2 torpedo bombers in no time at all. He'll only get a couple of passes with that. It's certainly doing a little bit of damage to the ACU, but nowhere near what it needs to be. So with that, Kaiser bows out of the game. And that completes the bottom bracket, which pushes Achieved Jaguar, also known as Procrastinating, through into the finals. Alright, and there we have it. Well done to Achieved Jaguar, managing to take out Kaiser, who is definitely no slouch at this game. He is going to head through into that final. He's going to try and take on Bias. He does have to beat Bias twice, though, because of that double elimination. If Bias loses it, it will still be his first loss of the tournament. That will put him straight down into the bottom bracket and straight back up again to a second final. So Achieved is definitely going to have his work cut out for him to pull this one off. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Legend of the Stars qualifying tournament number 4. This is the last and final chance for our contenders to grab a spot in the end of year tournament. There is a $500 prize up for grabs, kindly donated by Legend of the Stars. And we are going to have our top 16 decided by the end of this tournament. So let's waste no time. We are going to head into Chiron, I believe. I am not familiar with this map. Some of you may be, but we are going to have to play it and see. So we're going to have Bias, who has had an absolutely perfect run so far through the tournament, taking on Achieve Jaguar, who is calling himself procrastinating. Perhaps he has exams on and he is playing instead of studying. Could be the case. In any case, let us get out of here and into the map known as Chiron. And here we go. So this is interesting. It reminds me of another map. But where do they start? Oh, they start right in the corners here. All right, let's go and check out what these guys are going to do. So we have got Procrastinating in blue in the top left corner. He's opted for Seraphim to get the floating artillery. He is going to get that first land factory down. We can see a couple of orders to get some more core mass extractors and not much of a plan to get power down because he has got a hydro right next door. So he's going to get that underway with his floaty artillery. And meanwhile, we have got Bias down in the right corner. He's going to go Aeon. That gives him floaty tanks instead of artillery. But we're going to see probably a little bit of hover spam, I would suspect. So he's going to go with a similar build plan, grabbing all three core mass extractors with that ACU and then coming up to assist with this Hydra, and the engineer is just about to get started with that, and away it goes. So very much a mirror matchup of strategies, at least for the initial build order. Then we should see a big stream of engineers coming out, and there's actually, by the looks of it, a decent amount of reclaim that can be picked up just nearby. They're going to scoop up that mass into their coffers and come and grab the rest of these mass extractors. Actually, where are the mass extractors going to be? They're going to have to get all the way down to the main island to get those. So the ACUs are probably going to be in for a little bit of a walk in the very near future. In fact, it looks like Bias has already started his walk, and he is going to head on up to those expanding mexes. It's Achieved Jaguar going to do the same. He is going to be a little bit more late to the party. He's going to get a couple of extra power generators down first and an air factory. So that's going to mean he's a little bit slower expanding onto that main island, but he's going to have a bit more air power up when he does so. So that's going to limit the expanding opportunities from bombers. So Bias is going to have to watch out those engineers don't get snagged by wayward Tech 1 bombers. Alright, let's speed this up just a little bit because these guys are going to go for a very long hike all across the ocean floor. Fortunately, the ACUs are waterproof, so they're going to get all the way into the beach without too many electrical faults. And that's going to start a lot sooner for Bias because we are still waiting on Achieve Jaguar's ACU to move. He is actually going to build some more power generators, and he's going to use transports to get NGs out to the island. That is an interesting play. That's very smart, but it does leave him open to raids, and it could be possible to dislodge those engineers from the island if there are a sufficient number of raiding units and or bombers coming across to do damage. But he does have a handy scout out there to try and keep an eye on things so that he will know if there is any threat coming. And so far there is no threat, just a scout. But he will get eyes on that ACU perhaps. No, it's not quite shallow enough yet, I don't believe. So he will need to come back for another pass before he can get eyes on the ACU, just to confirm that that is what is happening. But now we will get confirmation for Bias that he has got engineers over here. They're throwing down land factories, and that is a nice quick expansion for Achieve Jaguar. I wonder if he's been practicing on this map a little bit, or if that is just the meta that he decided to go with. As far as I know, this map is not hugely played and probably doesn't have an established routine that these guys will be sticking to. Alright, that first factory pumping out units. We can see there are going to be some FAMs rolling on out. They're going to try and take as much of this island as they can to secure it against engineers coming in from Bias. But we can see a second land factory down here. So this is a pretty ambitious land grab from Achieved, but I don't see anything from Bias that is actually going to be able to stop it. We can see that he is planning on getting 4 land factories down, and those guys are going to be able to pump out a lot of units, but still, it is just the one ACU, and Achieved Jaguar's ACU is actually not too far away from joining his units on the island there, even though he's already got a bit of a leg up. So that's going to give him a pretty nice, comfortable position by the time he even arrives, and that transport has been made fantastic use of by Achieved Jaguar. He's actually getting them all across the island and even onto these plateaus up here, which are a little bit more difficult to access. So he's going to be able to have that extra hydro and couple of mass extractors, which are a wee bit more difficult for Bias to get to. Unless, of course, Bias throws together a transport, which is exactly what he's done. He's going to put that down, and we can see a very nice scattering of drop orders from that transport. Those guys are going to be able to get in and grab a whole lot of mass. Let's have a look at the scoreboard, because Achieved Jaguar is sitting on 31 mass per tick to the 29, just ticking over to 31 of Bias. So despite that early switch up to transports and getting all those engineers onto the main island, Bias still managing to keep up reasonably well. He's just a couple of mass extractors behind at this point, but keeping up pretty well with the expansions. What he is going to be lacking is combat units on the main island. We can see there's already 4 or 5 FAMs out here from Achieved Jaguar. They're going to come across and try and start doing a little bit of damage. A nice radar down there from Bias is going to give him some intel and see those units coming. But that's not really going to help him when he can't do anything about it. He's only just now getting those factories online. He's got a couple of Auroras out. It might be possible for him to come in and save the day with those, but it's going to be very hard with a stream of units coming in, because now we've got 4 land factories at this expansion. We've got 2 land factories at this expansion. So that is a 3-to-1 advantage right now in production capability on that main island. Alright, we have just a little bit of damage being laid down. The radar is destroyed. This THAM looking for targets. It looks like this engineer is going to get that finished, but that mass extractor is not really going to stay online long enough to pay for itself. The engineer goes down, and the THAM gets to work on the mix. He's going to dismantle that. That will bring Bias back down. He's actually slightly ahead in generated eco, but it'll bring him back down pretty soon to the same level as Achieved Jaguar. He still does have this expansion to grab as well, though, so Bias looking pretty handy in the eco game. He's managed to use that transport to full effect and grab as many maxi mixes on the bottom half of the map as he can. There's still just a couple more to snaffle up, though. So it looks like we're in for a reasonably substantial engagement in the center here. The battle lines have been drawn. We've got some Auroras standing here waiting for THAMs to roll into range, and here they go. They're going to start laying down fire on those guys. They're going to try and do their best to stop them breaking through. They do want to back up a little bit and make use of the extended range on the Auroras and not let them get away. So a little bit more micro there from Bias would not go amiss, but he's probably got a little bit more on his plate to deal with. The ACU from Bias is going to roll up as well, so that's going to come in and join the fight. Where is the ACU for Achieved Jaguar? He came across the island. He is pushing up across the top at the moment. He is going to be able to push into this expansion and take it, which will actually give him a 3/4 control of that main island, and it's going to be a little bit tougher for Bias to break out from that. And he's also denying these mixes across here with these wayward THAMs, who are just causing all sorts of problems. So this is a pretty good win, and we'll see Achieved Jaguar. Well, actually, we have seen Achieved Jaguar doing very well in the eco-whoring game in the last few matches of this tournament, so we can expect the same from him again. If Bias is going to let him get a leg up on that eco, then Achieved is just going to run away with it and get just ridiculous amounts of T2 and maybe even T3 mix, and he'll just go to town. So Bias will have to be aware of that and make sure that that is not going to happen. It looks like Achieved is still going to outnumber him pretty well. He's going to have to make fantastic use of the ACU at this point, and he's actually going to grab the gun upgrade before continuing. He's just going to rely on those Auroras to hold the line while he does so, but he's up to 6, 7, and then an 8th land factory coming. So he is definitely starting his production facilities, really getting those into gear on the island there. But is it too late? I hope it's not, for Bias's sake, because that is going to be very one-sided if the eco is just going to run away and Achieved is going to have all of that island for the rest of the match. So we're probably going to see a big difference with this ACU. Now that that gun upgrade has completed, the ACU is on the move again. He's going to roll on across the bottom of the map, and that's going to make all of these FAMs cower in fear. There's actually Zoes, mostly Zoes mixed into there. They will cower in fear from that gun. ACU, it is the range upgrade, so that ACU not going to have extra damage, but he's going to pump it out over a much longer distance and have no trouble dealing with Tech 1 PD, point defense, as long as he doesn't stray into range. But he's going to just take it anyway. He does have overcharge capabilities, and he's going to finish that PD off pretty quickly. So he's going to use this gun ACU to clear out this bottom left corner, and it looks like Achieved doesn't have a lot he can do about it. He's just going to back those Zoes up, and especially because those Zoes, they're artillery, they're non-tracking projectiles, he's not going to be able to do very well against an ACU that can dodge. That corner is looking a little bit shaky for Achieved, and Achieved knows it. Well, Bias knows it too, because he's sending all of his production northwards right now, and he's trying to get enough online to be able to dislodge the ACU, or at least keep him back. And I suspect he might actually be having the numbers to do it. There are a ton of Auroras, and they do outrange that stock standard ACU. I don't think Achieved Jaguar has got any gun upgrades just yet, so that will mean that he's going to have to back up against all of those Auroras, and we may see him shift up to Tech 1 bombers, because those bombers will do absolutely ridiculous things to big swarms of Auroras, because they can hit them and take them out in one pass, which is a very nice thing to do if you're against an Aeon player, and not so nice if you are that Aeon player. So the ACU continuing just to make his way forwards, trying to clear up that corner. Meanwhile though, Achieved Jaguar has spent a bunch of his eco on Navy. He's got a whole lot of frigates out, and even a sub just for good measure, so he is able to roll around pretty much unchallenged at the moment. We've got a bunch of naval factories down for Bias, but as of yet not really producing much. We've got 4 frigates over this side, but they are busy fighting a 4 frigate force from Achieved Jaguar. So there's probably a 3-to-1 advantage, especially if you look at the reinforcements that are coming up from the rear of the base as well. A big advantage for Achieved Jaguar in the Navy game. That is some pretty powerful stuff to be reckoned with, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult, except what is this? Of course I missed that. That is a Tech 2 Naval HQ, and he's going to get destroyers out. That'll mean that there is going to be a constant need for micro from Achieved Jaguar to get away from the destroyer fire, but we can see just how much damage that puts out, knocking it down in just 2 shots, so just a couple of hits to kill a frigate. Of course, the projectile is quite slow moving, so those will need to keep moving to avoid the destroyer fire. But if they are given the chance, those Exodus class destroyers will make mincemeat of those frigates. So we're going to see a Tech 2 response from Achieved Jaguar. Well, he's got all of his naval factories up there on hold, and I don't think we've got any more. Actually, we do over this way. There's a lot of assistance on that, and that has just completed the upgrade. So he does have his Tech 2 naval online, so he will be able to start pumping out those Seraphim destroyers and maybe even cruisers, but they're really not needed at this point, because destroyers can reach a lot of the base, and there is no air from Bias that needs dealing with, so not a lot of reason to get those cruisers out and running. Well, not a lot of air. There's actually more than I suspected. There's a reasonable amount of interceptors in the middle there, and that would actually give the advantage over to Bias. I don't think he's making use of that. Let's see if he's switching up to Tech to Air to see if he can do anything with that. I'm not seeing much. Actually, what is this? Just a interceptor. No, so it looks like he is not going to bother switching up to T2 just yet. Bias looking like he wants to get over the top and shut down that production from Achieved Jaguar. He's going to be able to do that pretty well. There is a Tech 2 air factory on for Achieved, but without any swift ones available, because he's Seraphim, he's going to have a pretty tough time using that to make his way back in the air game. This corner is just about cleaned out now from Bias. He's just a couple more land factories to deal with, and actually a nice little clump of reclaim that he will be able to make good use of. It looks like Achieved is trying to skirt around the back of this island, well, back of this lane, and try and get into Bias's base while Bias isn't looking, but I don't think that's really going to pay off because there is a big stream of units coming across. So it's definitely looking like the tides are turning on here. The spam coming out from Bias has managed to dislodge Achieved down here. The Aurora's managed to keep the ACU away in this corner, and that actually gives a 3/4 advantage over to Bias at this point. So that's going to be looking pretty good for him. He's got his T2 Navy online. He's dealt with all the naval units that came down towards him previously. He's still throwing out, well, he should be throwing out destroyers, but there's not much happening with that factory. There we go, slowly doing it. He's getting a couple of Tech 2 engineers online, and there's a T1 torpedo launcher there just to try and keep that factory safe. We do have a whole lot more subs and frigates rolling in from the bottom left. He's going to need a few more naval units to be able to counter that, but in the center, things are definitely turning in favor of Bias. He is now actually going to assault this last remaining corner. Fortunately for Achieved Jaguar, he does have that Seraphim ACU right on hand to be able to deal with that. He doesn't have the gun upgrade though, by the looks of it. No, he still hasn't put the upgrade down, so it's going to take him just a little while to deal with those units. He's going to lose a little bit of HP, but he's actually going to have to probably back up because he doesn't have much capability to produce reinforcements at this point. In fact, he's not going to have to back up because Bias is not even going to worry about that corner of the map. He's just going to skip straight past it and head right on into the channel, and that is probably a precursor to getting on into the capabilities, the production capabilities for for Achieved Jaguar right in the back here. So that's going to hurt if that is going to happen. And what is this? A couple of destroyers as well. We can see there is one out for Achieved Jaguar trying to chase that down. It will be able to win the engagement because this destroyer already down into the red. But still, if there's no mass to build navy with, that is going to play very poorly for Achieved Jaguar. And how is it looking on the scoreboard? Well, we've got 67, 65 mass per tick to Bias and just 31 to Achieved Jaguar. So he is not able to get that eco advantage that he usually relies on to take this one out. He has got the opportunity to kill some interceptors with tanks though, because there is a parking violation in progress. We do not park our interceptors there, Sir Bias. Alright, Achieved is bringing his big swarm of interceptors back to try and, well, what is he going to try and do with that? Try and stop something from happening to his main base, but he's not going to be able to be very effective with that. These Auroras sitting in here, they're going to start taking down the power. The destroyers sitting around the place are also taking out mexes, and down goes a Tech 2 mix. That's going to hurt Achieved Jaguar's eco even more. This is going from bad to worse for Achieved Jaguar as he loses even more eco. How is his power situation? He's sitting on 1.3k power, so he is managing to keep his power levels up. Where is that coming from? He's lost a Tech 2 gen right there. That is going to make it very hard. Is he stalling? Let's have a quick look from his perspective. He's actually got plenty of surplus. That'll be because he's got no mass to spend with that unfortunate income that Bias has so cleverly removed out from underneath him. Meanwhile, these engineers still just trying to pump out those destroyers for all they're worth. Unfortunately, with the lack of mass at his disposal, that is not going to go too well. Achieved is going to have to finally back up into the water. He's still got green health on the ACU, 13,000 HP. He's got 2 veterancy on it. But what are the options here? He's losing his eco around the back. He is lost his power. Well, he's still got enough power to carry on from those hydros, but still not much more to speak of. He is going to switch up to Tech 2 torpedo bombers to try and deal with these annoying Exodus class destroyers. In come the interceptors from Bias to try and mop those up and keep this destroyer alive. Still sitting on 5,600 HP, so that is going to last a while longer. There are just a few frigates and a couple of subs to deal with. That's going to not have too much trouble dealing with those, but this is going to be a bit more difficult. Another destroyer over here. Unfortunately, just a little bit too little too late for a Chief Jaguar. The entire island, well, except for a couple of mixes up here which are difficult to get to, and a couple of mixes down here which are also difficult to get to. The entire island is now owned by Bias, so any kind of comeback over here to try and reclaim his eco is really going to be doing very little to stop the onslaught of units that are just going to be coming across. We can see Achieved is actually going to try and bring his ACU back to his main island just to try and keep him alive, but this is looking very much like a win for Bias, and a win here is going to mean that Bias is going to take out the tournament, take out the prize, and secure himself another spot. Well, not another spot, but a spot in that Legend of the Stars final tournament. Achieved Jaguar, of course, will get that spot as well. And I do believe Kaiser, being the last remaining player in the bottom bracket, will pick up a spot also. None of the players in this tournament should be in the finals already. It was an explicit rule of this fourth and final qualifying tournament that the guys not have already secured a position. That leaves it nice and open for the guys who really want a chance at grabbing that trophy and the $500 dues. And I say dollary dues because they are Australian dollars, not United States dollars, so therefore they are dollary dues. And at this point we are pretty much just waiting for a control K for a Chief Jaguar. Although it doesn't look like he's willing to give it up, there is nothing at the moment that Bias has. He's actually starting to produce a couple of torpedo bombers. He's going to use those just to mop up these destroyers in the first instance, but then he'll be able to shift over focus to that ACU and use either ground or torpedo bombers to finish off this ACU, who's currently sitting on 8,500 HP. And that is not looking too fantastic given the purple swarm that is headed his way. Achieved still sitting on minus 31 mass per tick. Absolutely brutal, having no real income to speak of and trying to pump those destroyers out of that factory. That is just not going to work. In fact, his Bias have eyes on, well, he's got a little bit of radar coverage, but he hasn't actually scouted that Tech 2 factory. So far, Bias not really aware of where the destroyers are coming from. All he knows is they are magically appearing down this side of the map and causing him a little bit of grief. He's having to keep a few destroyers back at home just to deal with those annoying guys rolling on in. And there we go, the GG comes out from a Chief Jaguar. He is going to accept his fate. He's going to walk into this big mass of auroras and start to take a whole lot of fire. Well, very slow, but there we go, down to 3,700, down into the red. Now there's focus fire, and down goes the ACU. Alright, and there we have it. Congratulations to Bias on your win of the fourth and final Legend of the Stars qualifying tournament. Well done to you. Also well done to Chief Jaguar and Kaiser. Also to all of our other players. Thank you to Taquito for organizing the tournament and being the tournament director, even if you do get the time zone wrong and we all have to start an hour late. All right, and of course, thank you to Legend of the Stars for the prize and the fantastic trophy. If you haven't had a look, shoot on over to the Forge Alliance Forever forums and have a quick look at the pictures he has posted of the trophy in progress. It is another glass creation. It looks really great and is of course accompanied by that $500 due prize. Alright, thanks to everyone for watching. That is going to wrap up our coverage of the Legend of the Stars qualifiers. We'll be back 16th and 17th of December with the finals, the hotly anticipated 1 versus 1 big fight. It's going to give us our 2017 World Champion. And of course, that is going to be immediately after Ladder Week. 11th of December is Ladder Week, so I expect to see you all in Forged Alliance, laddering your little hearts out. And I don't care if you're no good, I'm no good either, but we're going to be playing anyway. Alright, thank you for watching. As always, I am Architect, and I'll see you next time. What was that clear? Oh, was that on mute? You see, I was just saying that I had no end of problems with this stupid little control panel trying to make all of the titles and the shots and the audio, everything line up. It's been no end of problems. Okay, so so I was saying Moonbear, the BH Edit 20, yeah, maybe next weekend I'll try and cast in that because I need lots of practice with the stupid control panel that's not doing what I want, and I have it muted when I don't want to be muted, and it's just a little bit annoying. So perhaps we shall cast that and try and get ourselves a bit more sorted. In theory, the graphics and titles should be a bit better than they were before. I had to manually switch between shots constantly, whereas the idea now is I can have them all lined up ready to go and then just flick them in and out in sequence. But that only really works if the buttons work properly and do what I want. So yeah, we'll see how we go. It's 9 o'clock local time. It looks good. Thanks, Moonbear. It should hopefully look even better as I get it really in sync and I don't have all these issues because I keep on having myself showing again instead of the game because it doesn't transition properly. I keep on having the microphone muted. But when I get it sorted, it will be awesome. That's the theory anyway. That is the theory. So, we've only been streaming for 35 minutes, is that right? 2 games in 35 minutes. Well, I did chuck them to +1 because they were a little bit slow in the middle there. They took a little bit of a rambling detour to get to the finals. It was just a bit slow. Alright, so I've finished streaming those. I guess I could try a couple of ladder maps just because I gotta not suck so hard when it comes to ladder week. How far away are we for that? We are 3 weeks away from ladder week now, and I'm still way more than 3 weeks away from being any kind of good at ladders. So let's see if we can get our stuff set up and give it a little bit of go. All right, and who have we got? All right. Okay, so Moonbear, you're off. Someone else to crush me. Oh, I'm so disappointed. So disappointed. I might. Well, okay, sure. We'll just give it a go. I'll go UEF, and my settings are going to be all wrong because it's from casting. We'll see how long it takes. How many people are on at the moment? Look at chat. Let's unfilter that. Actually, we need to jump back to Aeolus and clear the chat again. We've got 390 users, so in theory, we shouldn't have to wait too long to get a ladder match. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So I hope everyone is having a great time. If you just joined me, we have just finished with the finals from Legend of the Stars qualifying tournament number 4. So that happened just, well, this morning my time, probably yesterday afternoon if you're anywhere else in the world. And, oh no, I thought a game was launching. So that qualifying tournament number 4 is done and dusted. Next week we've got BH Edit Dark Heart tournament, so that could be interesting, and I'll try and use that to practice the graphics and get everything lined up for my supposedly pro level tournament coverage. But yeah, a little bit of a fiasco today because it didn't really load up particularly well. I had a lot of being muted when I shouldn't be muted and showing the wrong bits and pieces and titles not coming in and out when they're supposed to. Not a huge amount of fun at all. If I can't get a ladder game in the next couple of minutes, I think I will just call it a night because it's now 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening for me and I have work tomorrow. So much fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed those last couple of games. I think there was a little bit less excitement in that tournament than there probably could have been. Bias just had a clean run through. There was not really any contention. I'm not sure if any of his games he really looked at a huge amount of risk. At the start of that last match against Achieve Jaguar, there was, Achieve did a pretty good opening. He managed to get a good foothold on the island, but Bias just managed to replicate that. He took a whole lot of mass extractors. He got his spam game going, and he used his ACU a whole lot better. I think that's probably what it comes down to. That ACU for Bias, he got that that gun upgrade, and really pushed forward and took that extra corner out and then pushed into the last corner of that center island. So yeah, that gun upgrade, that ACU made all the difference. Zebra Cakes 0300 on the East Coast. Well, you are keen, but it is your Saturday night, which is a little advantage that you have over us over here, because you don't have work tomorrow. You get to go and have a bit of a sleep and then pop back and have still another weekend day. So I have to admit I'm a little bit jealous of that, even though we did start our weekend a little bit earlier than you did. Oh, there we go. I've got a ladder match, and that is going to, well, let's see how it goes. It looks a bit funny because of the dual screen. Oh, it's on Forbidden Pass again. Okay, so we're going to grab a first land factory. We need mass. We'll grab 2 of those. We'll grab 4 of those power generator thingies. And then we're just going to head our ACU straight across there. We'll use engineers to build the rest. So we're just going to get lots and lots of engineers coming out of this. Initially, we're going to queue them up with an attack move over there to reclaim some trees. And we'll grab those off the queue as they come out to try and get the rest of these mixes taken. Now, who am I up against? I'm up against Bob Build. He's rated 755. Don't pay any attention to my rating there because it is a very old rating. What does it say? 900 exactly. Yeah, that's quite overrated. I used to play quite a bit of ladder a couple of years ago, but I just haven't had the time at all in the last couple of years. So I've mainly been casting and not really doing a heck of a lot of playing, and as a result, the rating, well, the skill level has slipped off quite drastically. Pretty rusty, as you might imagine. So, well, we have to get ourselves reacquainted with the game. Alright, and then we'll put a radar down on there, I think, to give us a little bit of coverage. The next engineer is out. We're going to go across this way, but we do need a little bit of anti-spam protection, so let's throw in some tanks for good measure and just have an infinite build loop of those guys to start with. We are supplementing our E income right now with this engineer on reclaim, so that's going to get us across the line. We're going to use this engineer to come in and finish this. That's going to get us a nice early ACU across to the middle, which is what I'm hoping to get. If I can get enough build power online over there, then hopefully I will be able to make it count. Alright, and let's build 4 more of those. Actually, that's probably a little bit too many because we do have the hydro on the way in the next few minutes, so we'll go with 6 power gens. We've got this tank here. Let's just move them up this way to stop any potential raids coming down. And we also need to grab the next couple of tanks or combat units off the block and try and send them across to the right to stop that from getting raided as well. So we'll just set the rally point there. So our first scout out of there is going to head across. Actually, that's going to be another engineer. That is fine by me because we're going to need a little bit more build power up this way. While we still reclaim down here, let's just move that. Keep it. Well, actually, we've got a full bar of E right now, and we really need to get a few more land factories online. So let's get some of these guys up and running after that has completed. There's the first tank coming out, so that is going to hopefully be able to stop any raids. We need to keep an eye on that. We need to get that air factory up running reasonably soon as well. Zebra Cakes, glad to unwind with a beer and some subcom. Yeah, it's always good as long as you don't play like Tex and just get hammered and then try and play subcom. If you just do it a little bit more relaxed, although it is pretty entertaining to the rest of the community when Tex jumps on his drunk faff streams and starts to pull his antics. Alright, let's just start getting those mix upgrades because I've failed to spend my mass effectively. We have 2 engineers on build for those land factories. We've got another scout rolling out. This engie here. Actually, we do need a little bit more power to keep up with the mass extractor upgrades. Actually, we've got a lot of power incoming there. That's going to be great. So let's get a land factory down over here. Once that is in place, now these tanks, we'll just move them out. And we'll try and take these mass extractors. And we'll try and secure it with these little land factories here. Alright, if we are done with the engie, we're going to set him to build up that way and then come up and try and take these. This guy can then build like so. And we've forgotten about our ACU. What a great move. That is what you should always do. Forget about your ACU and don't build anything with them. We're going to do that, and then we'll grab that last mass extractor. Try and get a little bit of presence on, and of course we forgot to do anything with this as well, so we're going to build a few 4-to-1, I think. No, we'll go 3-to-1 scout to interceptor ratio. We've got our engineers coming out this way. Is that a bomber? That is a bomber. Oh dear, I think it could be a bomber. He's looking out for engineers, so I have to watch out for another pass from him and try and dodge. Oh, that's probably not going to happen. Let's just get our scout going like this, something like that, just to try and keep an eye on things. We're starting to get that build underway in the center. We really need that extra power up and running though. Where is an extra engineer when you need it? Let's grab this guy here and build a powered line across this way. Let's build a land factory here to try and secure it, and we'll send our combat units up this way. Actually, it looks like there is very little happening in the way of raids from this guy. So let's just be a little bit more aggressive with these couple of units here. He probably will have his ACU in here at this point. I will hopefully get eyes on that sometime soon. But in the meantime, let's do a bit of reclaim because we're way too bad at getting those power generators sorted. So let's assist that there. The mix upgrades are still happening. That's a bit poor, and wow, I am way too late to the party in there, and actually that's why I'm having a bit of trouble controlling. I'm still on cast mode for my sensitivity. Let me just crank the scroll wheel back up and take it off freewheel, and there we go, nice and smooth and fast. Okay, you need to come back down here, and we need to look at ways to get rid of all of that spam up there. So let's just do this, and we are still power stalling like a mofo. That is terrible. Let's just put a pause on that. Or not. Let's just get these guys up and running. That's going to use a little bit more power that we don't have, but what are you going to do at this point? We are going to throw out a couple more power generators, and let's get that finished and pop a radar down as well. We're just trying to take as much of the map as we can at this point, and well, we've forgotten about this. This is what happens when you have 0 APM. Let's just mix those in. We'll get both of those factories working away. We'll try and get, where's the double adjacency? You can get a bit of double adjacency on there, and we'll help out with that as well. So we've got a little bit of mass in the bank. We need to be a lot better at getting our air online. We need to get our map control underway, and we need to get some more scouting done. So not looking the most flash at this game. This is what I was talking about when I mentioned a lack of keeping up with the game and keeping up with skill. Alright, I'm going to lose that forward position because my units are going to be a bit slow to get there. Well, actually they might not be. I will lose the radar. I will build another one just back here a little bit. I do have the power to make that happen. And we'll build another radar over here just for good measure as well. And we are starting to get that spam on. We've actually got a decent little trickle of units. We did lose that to a point defense, so that's no good. We have got a couple of units online, so let's just roll over this way. Try and use that Lobo to take him out. Meanwhile, we need some Lobos up here a little bit further. I hope we did put them in the mix. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, we did. So there should be a few Lobos arriving up there. They will be able to get in and do some damage to that Tech 1 point defense. Let's just consolidate our units a little bit better right now, because that's not working terribly well. That is rebuilding the radar. That's very interesting. Alright, we are going to have a bit of engagement here. Hopefully my unit density is just that little bit higher, and I'll be able to come away with a win on that engagement. Let's grab that Lobo and tell it to go and take out the point defense over this side. Meanwhile, we still have got all of our units spewing out that way. We've got our scouts, so let's just get a real quick bead on that. Oh, and that's not going to work because the ACU is there, which is very interesting. That actually means the ACU is not over here. That gives us a little bit of an opportunity. Alright, let's get our units aligned a little bit better. Right now, that would be a very bad way to go into battle. And we can even start producing some tanks out of this one here. That would be nice and handy. And what have we got here? That is a bunch of combat units rolling down from that expansion. That's not looking happy. Let's go up this way and try and do some damage, because we know the ACU is across to the right. We know he's not in here. It's possible that we might be able to do a little bit of damage. Well, we'll see how we go. We are not wasting mass yet, but we need to be spending a little bit more. I think we should probably throw a couple more factories down to try and make use of that. There we can go, we can get 3 more there. As long as that Enchi doesn't die to this assault, let's just try and make sure that doesn't happen. And it looks like we've got a good numerical advantage over here as well. And I will throw down a point defense just in case he decides to come over my way. And once that is finished doing it, we'll just continue on with the Tech 1 power line. We won't shift up to Tech 2 power just yet. We'll just do some reclaim there where it's plus 85 power, and that's not a good amount of T1 to run into. Let's get this spam game going on this side of the map. Let's build a bunch more factories and build a whole lot of spam out this side so that we can push this way. Do the same thing out of this factory, maybe minus the anti-air units, and get all those factories online. We did lose one in there though. Where's the nearest engineer that we have? Let's build a couple of engineers out of that factory because it will be done fairly shortly. And let's go up this way. We need to get eyes on this expansion, so let's do that. And that one there. Is there another scout available? No, I'm going to have to wait just a minute before I have another scout. We'll move the rally point up. And where is our engineer? He's actually reclaiming all of the wreckage from around here. That's a nice bit of extra mass for me, and well, that is completely undefended. We will be able to get on in there and take those mass extractors out. How are we going? He has got a couple of Tech 2 mixers in the back of his base there. Let's get this assistance going. We could do with a little bit more mass though. We've got all 4 mass extractors up to T2 there. Let us stop one of these factories and shift it up to T2. Even though we don't have a whole ton of mass, we'll do that anyway. Now, whereabouts did that ACU end up? Let's try and get a picture on where he is. Okay, we're clearing out all of those mixers. Nice, nicely done. And I will throw down another PD over here just in case. It feels like I need to make sure I've got plenty of AA happening. Okay, the ACU is still sitting down in that corner. He's actually shifting up to Tech 2 power. He's got his Tech 2 HQ there. That is interesting. He's going to put all of his units, all of his power and production for T2 down in that corner. Alright, we'll just add NGs to that mix there. So let's have a little bit of a fight here. We've got quite a lot of units actually. We have got good numbers on our side, and if he brings them in like that, they're going to get absolutely crushed. And I've got Lobos mixed in. He does have a few Lobos mixed in as well. We need to keep these guys moving so the non-tracking artillery fire can't do a whole lot. But we're going to use this attack move out of the factory to try and scoop up as much of that mass as we can. And we've got a Tech 1 bomber coming over the top. That's interesting. We'll throw down a railgun as well, just because we don't have much AA across that side. He has got how much Tech 2 economy? Is he going to throw down a... Perhaps he's going to throw down a attack launcher over the side. Let's just quickly check it out. Build some NGs from there. He is continuing to move in with just a few units. That's a little bit of a mistake. Those guys are going to get absolutely pummeled. How are we up with that T2 upgrade? Alright, let's grab a couple of T2 engineers and let's pause all of our T1 production because we need to shift that up to Tech 2. Let's grab these guys here up to Tech 2. These three here. This guy can just produce NGs. Go and give these guys some assistance, I would suggest. Alright, and how much defense have we got over here? We've got 3 triads, 1 Tech 2 PD, and an ACU. I definitely want to get some radar, which I have completely forgotten, so let's quickly build that. And we need to get these pillar producing upgrades done nice and quickly, and we can start pumping those pillars out. And the HP on those guys is going to be awesome. It looks like he's actually got his units on patrol. If I move my AA out a little bit further, those interceptors are going to fly right over the top, and that's going to make for a bad day. Let's grab that there. We've got a lot of units coming out of here, so let's just stop all of that. And we can look at getting a support factory upgrade here and pumping out pillars with him, so we get pillars over this side of the map. And we could also maybe think about putting down some mobile missile launchers to come and put some pressure on that position, just to try and push him back a little bit, because right now he is free to do as he pleases. And we're just going to put down a TAC missile defense just to keep our T2 mixes safe in case there should be a problem. And we're just going to queue up a couple of T2 power gens because we might need those in the future. Alright, that T2 upgrade is complete. He's going to start pushing pillars out of that one. How are we going for pillars coming out of these factories? It looks like they're just starting to come online now. Need a little bit more support from these. Any more idle engineers, you can help that factory out. We definitely need a little bit more eco at this point though. Let's grab some NGs and just rush upgrade this mix. This guy can come and build a couple more over these ways to defend. Let's just push out a little bit there and need to see what's going on a little bit as well. So let's just put some scouting up that away and that away. Alright, let's try and queue up some more NGs over there. Is that going to be bombers? Let's just... He's going for a drop. Let's quickly try and kill that. No, that's not going to be successful. Hopefully we've got a pillar or two rolling out of this factory really quick. Oh, here we go. Pillar, need to get back here, please. And these NGs, what are they going for? Are they going for the hydro? Well, that drop is not hugely successful, but it does tell me that I need to remember to do some things, and those things might be put some radar up at the back here so that I can see what's happening, and also I need a little bit of AA, so we'll just pop a couple of flak out from there. Also, we're going to grab these factories in the center here. We're going to stop those. Let's do a little bit of incursion that away to see what we're facing. Oh, we need to get these NGs back out of here. And we've got a lot of pillars in this mix now. We've got 8 pillars. That is going to be very nice to have. So we're going to have a pretty full-on engagement at this point. We'll just try and cheekily capture those. So we do have our pillars in the mix. Hopefully that is going to turn it all in our favor. It looks like numerically probably a little bit behind, but hopefully we'll come out ahead. Of course, this is very, very noob level play. And let's get our inties over this way to try and help against those bombers. Alright, come on, pillars. We've still got 7 pillars alive. That's really nice. Let's just try and march through there. And we've even got more pillars coming. Let's just set those guys to that. And let's grab some reclaim from this factory. Alright, we're down to, well, there's only 8 pillars in the mix. There's still a lot of blue units there. Ooh, that's not looking absolutely fantastic, but yeah, hopefully we can come back from it. If we keep them moving, those bombers are going to have a little bit of a hard time killing them. That will be the idea. We've got a couple of interceptors in there now. So we have managed to fix it all up. We do need to get... Oh no, there is another bunch of units rolling in. How are we going? We really need to get Tech 2 and pillars online in the center here. We've got a pretty formidable force over this way. We've got 10 pillars. Oh, what is this? Riptides, of course. Okay, so we have lost this position. Hopefully, yeah, I'm really hoping we can make up with pillar spam. Maybe. I hear some gunships. Where are those guys hailing from? Oh no, that's just the Riptides, isn't it? Actually, my interceptors are doing a very, very bad job of dealing with those bombers. And I need to keep these pillars moving to try and mop it all up. He's using a lot of Tech 1 bombers for that. We just have to keep our micro game going. And hopefully we've got the interceptor count that we need to make that work. And there's a lot of AA in that mix. I think we should be able to move forward and take them out. And let's just put in some flak, because why on earth did I forget that? We'll never know. So we'll just do, say, 3 pillars to each flak. And we'll have to throw down another point defense over here just to stop those annoying beggars from popping through that gap. This is not looking particularly fantastic at the moment. Let's cap these mexes just because we can. We don't have a lot of mass, and I'm thinking we should have enough to overrun this position now. So let's just everybody get in there and do as much damage as we can. Ooh, that's a bit dubious, but we'll see how we go. Oh, that's not going to work when he's got a whole lot of pillars of his own. We're going to have to back on up because we've only got 9 pillars in that mix, and he's got way more than that. And I've forgotten to have scouts in this mix to get radar coverage. Wow, I'm so awesome at this game. Yes, absolutely fantastic. Alright, so we're definitely losing ground. We're managing to deal with those bombers though. We really do need to just push back up and take this territory. I will try and grab Tech 2 on that ACU, I think, so we can throw some defensive triads down here. Is he going to shift up to T3? Well, he's still got his HQ at Tech 2. Let's just try and kite with these pillars. And hopefully we can get enough of those guys online to make a big difference. I do need to try and get in there with and kill those engineers though, those pesky engineers that are taking all the reclaim. That's going to be such a massive eco bonus for him. Oh dear, this is not looking good. We do have a whole stack of Tech 1 PD up and running in there. That is nice to have, but there is a lot of fire coming in from the blue player here, and I want to upgrade. Yeah, I don't know about this. Is that his combined army though? I think that was his army from over here. And look at me like a chump, still not even having overcharge capability. What am I thinking? Alright, all of my PD are gone. That's good game. I'm not even going to bother. I just messed this one up so bad. Not even worth trying to save myself. Why am I echoing? I shouldn't be echoing. As far as I can tell, there is just the one input. Let me just check. No, you can't see anything that would cause an echo. I don't see. Is it a big echo or just a teensy weensy echo? Well, that was a nice example of bad play. Hope you guys don't follow that lead. I still really just have to get back into that headspace of knowing what on earth to do. I know I can build stuff, I know I can eco stuff, but I really need to get just back into that headspace. For so long I've just been talking about the games, commenting on other people's problems, and not really remembering to do it or getting in the habit of doing it myself. Just searching for ladder. It's a pretty quiet time. It's very much off peak. At the moment, not a lot happening in Faff land. Doesn't look like anyone's searching. I might just call it a night there. What is ladder week? Ladder week is where everyone goes and plays ladder. So see how right now I'm searching, trying to play ladder, trying to find someone to play ladder against, and there's no one. That's because not a huge amount of people play ladder. So what we want to do is organize a week where everybody gets online and plays ladder. So it doesn't matter what level you are, whether you're a pro level, whether you're a noob, whether you're just starting out, doesn't matter. You get in there and you have lots of games and we all just chat and have a great week. The idea is just to get a bit of buzz going and make it a bit easier to find ladder, because as you can see right now, there's no one who I can play ladder against because we are not looking at a huge amount of people on. Due to the time zone, it is 9:30 p.m. here, and that is a very dead time of the day on the other side of the world where most of the Forge Alliance players are. So we're all just going to play lots of ladder that week, and there will be an avatar and a couple of prizes and things like that for people in each bracket that do the best or win the most games, that kind of thing. So we will have a leaderboard, and it'll track the number of games you've played in the week and how many wins you have. And yeah, just generally have a good time. And then following ladder week, we are going to have the Legend of the Stars World Championship Finals, 16th and 17th of December. So if you want to watch some top level pro 1 versus 1 action, unlike what you just watched me attempt, then yeah, you can get in on that, and we'll all have a great weekend and find out who is the best player in the world at Forged Alliance. Well, 1v1 that is. We're not counting the Eco Whores and the Dual Gap players and the Setons players. We're just talking about 1v1, pro level 1 versus 1. So I assume that rambling answered the question. Oh, and good morning. It's over 9,000. I've just had a quick look at the YouTube chat because I am dual casting to Twitch and YouTube, just seeing how that goes. And on YouTube, I didn't actually have that tab up, so I didn't see your message, so apologies for that. Good morning to you, and it is evening over here. Alright, so I might shoot off and get a few things done before it gets too late. It's coming up 10 p.m. on a Sunday night here. I do have work tomorrow, which, yeah, not the best place to be in, but yeah, we have to work. That's how it works. That's called work. Alright, so I will catch you guys later. I will be trying to stream as much as I can with ladder, because I do need to try and get sort of some semblance of skill going on with ladder 1 versus 1. Yeah, something that resembles skilled play by ladder week, because I intend to continue streaming quite a bit through ladder week as well. So at all the opportunities I have in the next couple of weeks, I will just be throwing some streams up, and you can watch my failures at 1 versus 1 so that you don't have to, but I would encourage you to join in as well. And even if you are no good at 1 versus 1, get in there. It doesn't matter if you lose. It really doesn't. Even if you have a bad rating, it's separate from your global rating, so if you're worried about that, you don't have to worry. It won't affect what you see in the custom games tab. So if you're up to 800 or 1000 or 1500 in the custom games, but you're just too afraid to play ladder, then don't be. Just jump on in, play some 1 versus 1, maybe at a time of day where there's actually opponents, because that would be a good start, and just get a little bit of that 1v1 going on, and then you'll have a bit more of an idea of what these pros have to do, the way they have to manage all of the different aspects of the game that normally you can rely on teammates, you can rely on overflow, you can get a dedicated air player, you can get dedicated navy players, but no, you have to do all of that stuff yourself. So if you're not familiar with ladder, yeah, give it a go. That is the purpose of ladder week. Anyway, I shall get going now. I hope you guys have enjoyed the reasonably short stream. It was just a catch up to finish off the Legend of the Stars qualifying tournament from this morning. I have got the main streams on YouTube because I was dual streaming again, so you can catch them on YouTube. All the VODs here on Twitch. I do have additionally the separate videos for each match that I recorded while I was doing it, and maybe, just maybe, I will upload those to YouTube as well, depending on how we go. We'll see how it looks. So you guys can have a great evening or morning or whatever it is, and I'll see you guys next time.